Hello there, this is Ben Fournier, and here's MBTI loop types and aux development, or parent function development if you'd prefer. Rose by any other name. And it's basically, look up INTJ NiFi loops like Psychology Junkie, all that other sort of stuff. It's all pseudoscience anyway, so here's my conjecture. I don't think it's actually pseudoscience. It's just not valuable because it's not using making everything into a pathology. Anyway, how each type may appear due to third loops with their second functions underdeveloped and their third functions overdeveloped. Starting with ENFP and ESTJ. An ENFP has ego functions, extroverted intuition, introverted feeling, extroverted thinking, and introverted sensing, and the hero, parent, child, anima, or inferior, or aspirational, or whatever. ESTJ has ego functions TE, that's extroverted thinking, SI as introverted sensing, NE, FI, etc. An ENFP, often in stress modes, would overdevelop their TE and underdevelop FI, potentially appearing more like an ESTJ. And an ESTJ similarly could seem like an ENFP, and their SI would be underdeveloped while their NE overdeveloped. It's like, for me, I have executive function disorder, which is also potentially linked to heavy metal poisoning, but it's ADHD and other sorts of stuff as well. It's a joyful thing, but that was along with my Asperger's diagnosis back when I was a kid. But anyway, INTJ and ISFP. An INTJ has ego functions NI, TE, FI, SE, and an ISFP has ego functions FI, SE, NI, TE. Yep, you see there? This one's highly valued, least stressful, highly valued, least stressful. And it's not as bad as like for the overshadowed functions, which I'm not showing here. I know there's two different models, for 4 and 8. I think 8's more likely to work, and that's why I'm saying like unipolar and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is how it would seem. You overdevelop NI, even though it's more stressful, it's not as preferred naturally. You overdevelop it than by nature. You have it where FI is less and SE is just plain out of the ballpark. But it can seem like SE anima instead of SE parent, even though it's less stressful than SE anima for INTJs and all that sort of stuff. An INTJ by NiFi loops would overdevelop their FI and underdevelop TE and seem like an ISFP. More accessible NE, the NE type humor or Nemesis can be like a tool, and it can also seem like paranoia at times as well. They're any Nemesis rather than any polar. Any polar tends to be generally disregarding of the intentions of others and not as about the possibilities. And especially for ISTPs, it's with TI hero, it's even more taciturn, while FI is less taciturn by default compared to TI. Anyway, an ISFP likewise could seem more like an INTJ by Phi Ni loops, and their SE would be underdeveloped while their NI overdeveloped. Same deal with the Nemesis versus polar. So yeah, FE polar for INTJs will mean we're kind of blunt. We say speak directly. Well, I mean the ISFPs would speak more directly as well, but they still have FE as their function of worries, their Nemesis versus the Blindspot disregarding. So generally disregarding. But ESFP and ENTJ. And ESFP has ego functions SE, FI, TE, NI. And ENTJ has ego functions TE, NI, SE, FI. And ESFP often in stress modes would overdevelop their TE and underdevelop FI, potentially appearing more like an ENTJ. More accessible SI though. Like, they're going to be still more about being in the present and being regarding the sensory experiences of others and all that sort of stuff pertaining to SE, whatever your definitions are. That has SE as the hero. This has SE as the third function. And SI as the source of worries versus SI as the source of, I don't care kind of thing, more or less, SI polar. TI Nemesis, though, versus TI polar. And ESFPs, having TE like ENFPs, will tend to think aloud versus, keep it to themselves kind of thing. But TI also cares more about exactitude and logical frameworks and other sorts of stuff rather than piecing things together in a fair bit more haphazard but practical way kind of thing. So yeah, that would be the differences sort of. ISTJ and INFP. An ISTJ has ego functions SI, TE, FI, NE. An INFP has ego functions FI, NE, SI, TE. An ISTJ by sci-fi loops, and they have that. That's so cool. Sci-fi is the coolest. No, just joking. Would overdevelop their FI and underdevelop TE and seem like an INFP. Any Nemesis rather than any polar. I forgot to switch that over. It should be SE Nemesis rather than SE polar. And more blunt with FE polar, same as INTJ. An INFP likewise could seem like an ISTJ by their phi psi loops, and their SE would be underdeveloped while their NI... I got that wrong. Their SI overdeveloped while NE underdeveloped. Same deal with Nemesis versus polar, having more useful FE and less useful SE. Sorry, I'm not very awake when I wrote all this. And anyway, trying to say same things in different ways, switching things up is also a bit of a pain. But whatever though. An ENTP has ego functions NE, TI, FE, SI. An ESFJ has ego functions FE, SI, NE, TI. And yes, I know, sometimes in one school thought it's only these two first functions that's called the ego and the other's the unconscious, and there's a couple different names for the Socionics blocks and the different models, but I'm just calling the first for the ego and the last for the shadow or the overshadowed functions. Not like a shadow, but like it's overshadowed. These are more valued, the others are less valued. An ENTP often in stress modes would overdevelop their FE and underdevelop TI, potentially appearing more like an ESFJ. FI polar and NI Nemesis though, because they're going to be not really caring about their own morals and feelings so much, but they still would have accessible NI about like their wants and probability versus possibility, which for ESFJs they're going to have that running amok like an INTJ with FI. But anyway, they would tend to troll more as FE child is playful with the feelings and morals of others. Like one person trying to spam a forum I'm on. I made like movies sans power tripping, and they're trying to just post nasty things that get me to ban them, I think. And it's like, could you please stop? Whatever though. Yeah, an ESFJ similarly could seem like an ENTP, and their SI would be underdeveloped while their NE overdeveloped. FI Nemesis would be more accessible because it's their source of worries versus a disregarding thing. It would be more accessible while NI would be generally disregard, like possibilities, and they want versus I want, I don't know, and that sort of thing. And that would be the blind spot polar there. Yep. Okay, onward to INTP and ISFJ. An INTP has ego functions TI, NE, SI, FE. An ISFJ has ego functions SI, FE, TI, NE. An INTP by tie-side loops would overdevelop their SI and underdevelop NE and seem like an ISFJ. TE Nemesis, the source of worries being extroverted thinking. So they're still going to be open to the reasoning of others even if they're worried that they're stupid. They're still TE Nemesis is still useful as a tool function, while SE Polar is the blind spot. So they might be like, hey, did you know you smell bad? Right, well, they're the ones that don't shower ever or use wet wipes. Like, I don't have running water myself, but I buy lots and lots of wet wipes because I do care. But yeah, it's like, what can I do? Nothing. Yay. Anyway, but I care about that versus, I mean, if it's a routine, SI is good about routines, and they'd still care about the feelings of others. The fourth function is often used to make up for the seventh, the polar function. But yeah, gotta keep that routine going, especially to counteract that. But by nature, though, those that have SE more accessible are going to be caring about it more. But anyway, an ISFJ likewise could seem like an INTP by psi-tie loops. Their TI would be overdeveloped while their FE underdeveloped. Same deal with Nemesis versus Polar, having more accessible SE and less useful TE. Okay, and ESTP and ENFJ. In ESTP has ego functions SE, TI, FE, NI, and ENFJ has ego functions FE, NI, SE, TI. In ESFP by SEF, SAFE, SEFE loops would overdevelop their FE and underdevelop TI, potentially appearing more like an ENFJ, more accessible SI, same as with ENTJs, and less FI. And I meant ESTP here. I'm sorry. Whoop-de-doo, not like anyone's watching this anyway. An ENFJ similarly could seem like an ESTP, with their SE overdeveloped and their NI underdeveloped, SI polar, and FI Nemesis being more noticeable, though noticeable differences with the ENFJ less likely to be playful with the emotions of others per se, and by SE. Like, stereotypically the archetype of the bully. But not necessarily that anyone can be a bully. It's just when you're about the sensory experiences of others and being playful with their feelings and morals, it's like, yeah. Do you get the picture? It's not necessarily that every ESTP is that way, and they're going to be good about the appearances in front of the group too. But what that is depends on what the ethics of the group they're in would be. Sort of. Everyone can develop on their own, of course. There's the trend versus the fluke, but whatever. An ISTP via tie loops could overdevelop their NI and underdevelop SE, and thereby seem like an INFJ. TE Nemesis is still useful, same as INTPs, and while NE Polar tends for max taciturnity, NE's, the bubbly function for ENFPs, ESFJs is, any third can seem like any hero, except it's not really. But, so, that's going to be one taciturnity thing and TI rather than FI. An INFJ, likewise, could seem like an ISTP by tie loops, TI overdeveloped, FE underdeveloped. NE Nemesis would allow them to be a fair bit less laconic, while TE Polar tends to be generally unaccepting of the reasoning of others as they go by their own TI child, TI third. And, what else can I say more? There's only so many ways you can say the same things, like Ripley and the meeting with the board of idiots. But yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. And if I had a cannon, I would fire it. Be sure to leave a dislike and a nasty comment explaining thoroughly how your favorite school of thought within MBTI Socionics must be the one true religion handed down by Jung from Mount Sinai or Everest or whatever. And be sure to hit that unsubscribe button. You might have to subscribe first. That'd be nice. But of course you just go away right away, right? And tell everyone that you're leaving because this is an airport. Anyway. Or you could do the opposite, like, subscribe, and not be a jerk. But, everyone else is a goldfish Karen, so, whatever. Take care, everyone, and try not to go crazy.